bicycle leaned against the side of the garage, its chain rusted stiff, tires half deflated, and paint chipped like it had weathered more than just the seasons. Most people would have tossed it out years ago. But not Mr. Dalton. Every morning, at exactly 7:15, he would walk out limping slightly on his left side and place his worn hands on the handlebars, like greeting an old friend. That bicycle hadn't moved an inch in years, but still, he showed up. And there was something quietly poetic about that. Hello and welcome to Everyday Epiphany, where simple stories spark soulful insights. Sit back, enjoy the journey, and may it brighten your day. When I first moved into the neighborhood, I noticed him from my kitchen window every morning, without fail. The old man and the bicycle. The ritual. At first, I thought maybe he was trying to fix it. But days turned into weeks, and the scene never changed. Just him, standing beside it, sometimes wiping the frame with a cloth. Other times, just standing there, silent, thoughtful. As if listening to a tune only he could hear. Out of curiosity, or maybe loneliness, I decided to say hello. It was a foggy Tuesday, the kind of morning where the world feels like it hasn't fully woken up yet. I walked over, coffee in hand, and said softly, "Morning, sir, that's a fine-looking bike." He looked at me with a smile that had known loss, and stories, and years too long to count. "She used to be," he said. "Carried me through a lot." I introduced myself. He told me his name was Carl Dalton, a retired mailman, 82 years old, widower, and then, like flipping pages in a well-loved book, the stories began. The bicycle was a 1965 Schwinn, cherry red when he bought it. Though now only a few stubborn flakes of paint remained. He rode it every day on his postal route for over 30 years. Through rainstorms, snow, broken pedals, and flat tires. But the stories weren't about the bike. Not really. They were about the people it brought him to. Like the little girl who waited every afternoon to hear him ring the bell on his handlebars just once. A small ritual between them. Or the elderly woman who baked him cookies every Friday. For the road, she'd say. He told me he once helped a young woman in labor because her husband was out and she went into labor while getting the mail. Carl rode like a madman to the fire station 3 blocks down. He chuckled. My legs never forgave me for that ride. We spoke every Tuesday after that. And every time, he returned to the bike. He never rode it anymore, his hip couldn't handle it. But to him, that Schwinn was more than metal. It was memory. A silent witness to a life lived fully, to the grind of responsibility, the kindness of strangers, the slow passing of time. One day, I asked him gently, "Why not sell it, Carl, or at least keep it inside?" He looked down at the bike, then back up at me, "Because some things," he said, "deserve to be seen aging. They've earned their rust." That stuck with me. That winter, Carl slipped on ice and broke his leg. He had to move in with his daughter 2 towns over. The bike stayed behind, still leaning against the garage. At first, I'd glance at it out of habit. Then I started wiping the snow off it when storms rolled in. It just didn't feel right, leaving it buried like that. Weeks became months. No Carl. Then, one April morning, I found a letter in my mailbox. Not typed. Handwritten. "Thanks for checking in on her. I heard from Sandra you'd been keeping her clean. That means more than you know. I'm not sure I'll be back, but the bike's yours if you want it. Or, If not, just let her rust with dignity. She's carried a lot of weight, not just mail, but stories. I hope one day, if you lean on her long enough, she might whisper a few to you. Carl. I stood there on my porch, letter in hand, tears unexpectedly stinging my eyes. Because it wasn't just about a bicycle. It was about everything we carry with us and everything that carries us through. I remember that same evening, curling up on the couch and rereading a book I hadn't touched in years. When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. It's a memoir, written by a neurosurgeon diagnosed with terminal cancer. But it's more than that. It's about purpose, legacy, and what it means to live fully even while knowing your time is limited. There's a line that echoed in my head for days. Even if I'm dying, until I actually die, I am still living. That was Carl, and his bicycle, still living. In the rust, in the ritual, in the remembering. Sometimes we think value is tied to utility, to being fast, strong, young, or new. But there's beauty in the broken, purpose in the worn down, stories in the silent spaces between what once was and what still is. Carl didn't visit the bicycle to fix it. He visited to remember who he had been, who he had loved, who he had helped. And that's the thing about life, it's not always about moving forward. Sometimes, it's about honoring what carried you to this point. So here's to the rusty bicycles in our lives. The relationships, the old hobbies, the places or people who shaped us. Even if they no longer work like they used to. Maybe they don't need to. Maybe, like Carl said, they've earned their rust. Thank you for being here with us at Everyday Epiphany. If today's story touched your heart or sparked a thought, subscribe and stay with us. Your next epiphany might just be one story away.